there is a chance Freemasonry might have stolen symbols from Catholicism.
Oh yeah. Oh, should we show some of those pictures?
That's what I think you should.
And so they had to cut it off, right? The masons, right? The stone masons had to cut the things. And so they basically say, just like the stones in the temple, we are trying to be cut perfectly by God, the great architect, to be placed for a greater purpose in his temple under Rome. And there's a woman, and she has a veil over her face, and she's in a robe, and she's holding her hands.
Oh, that is a veil. I did not even see that that's a veil.
The restored gospel is the easiest thing to argue for because it's true, right? It's against against atheism, against Protestantism, against Catholicism. It's just the easiest. It's the easiest thing to defend. Here's, in my estimation, in my experience, being in an elders quorum and being in the Freemasons, it's simply it's prioritizing time to spend time together.
Hey, have you seen the video of Hayden Carroll and Jacob Hansen debating the Protestants in their church, bro?
Apologia Studios, bro.
Oh. Bro, that video is crazy. It's crazy because it's like, here he is. There's the man.
Brethren, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Dude, you got like a haircut, a new studio, right? What's going on over here?
What the heck?
Like,
we were expecting that other setup, dude.
Yeah. I was telling Ket, I was like, yeah, dude, he's always got the camera on this side, and then he's looking at something in front of his face, and then his earplugs are into the monitor to his right. You're all set up right now.
Yeah, I got some new setup, new equipment, some new good stuff. So, yeah, it's going good. I got a little new home office, which is nice. It actually doubles as my bedroom.
That's sick. Yeah. Have you been to Jacob Hansen's new studio?
No, not yet. One of these days I will, though.
Where does he live again?
He's in Reno.
Reno, dude.
Yeah, he's from there.
Hey, Ket, I'm not hearing you very well for some reason.
Is it how like is
Oh,
it?
there you go. I think it's because you were in front of it.
Oh,
So if you lean in front, anyways. Okay, well, I'm just gonna do the intro and then we're just gonna kind of talk and then we can edit things. Does that sound good?
Well, I was gonna ask you, do you
Yeah.
like have you seen my Freemason presentation? You've
So
probably
we just watched it today and yesterday.
Yeah, in fact, I think like a year ago you sent me a different video of the same presentation. You did, Roy.
Oh, I did. I was like, bro, you and Hayden know each other? What's the
Yeah, me and Hayden go way back.
No, so we can just talk. I have those slides pulled up. If you want to talk about anything there, then we can, but I'll just let you guide the conversation and I'll tag along and answer your questions.
Okay. Cool. All right, so I'll just do like our little intro. But okay, well, welcome back. He's the GOAT podcast. He is the greatest of all time. We're doing a cool special today. We're gonna have a special guest, Hayden Carroll. Hayden, you want to say hi?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Roy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited for Hayden to be on here. I worked with Hayden for a little bit. He was I taught seminary with him for a little bit. So
except for Roy couldn't get that full time, but Hayden.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I worked hard. I was rejected. That's not going to look good on the podcast, bro. But yeah, so I guess if anyone watching this knows anything about Hayden Carroll, when did you and Jacob Hansen got your startup kind of when you went to Apologia Studios, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I knew Jacob for probably a year and a half, maybe before that, and that's how we got together. Is the Apologia guys came to my ward building, and I went out there. I'm like, "Hey, you're from Apologia," and they're like, "Yeah, like who are you?" And I'm like, "I've been waiting for you to come to my building. I see your videos." So we talked with them, and then I became friends with Daniel Constantino, who unfortunately is no longer a member of Apologia, and that's a whole story. But they basically said, "Hey, we have a podcast." It was Oscar Dunlap and Matt De Jesus, really good guys. They have a podcast, and they said, "Hey, we want to bring you on and have a conversation about Mormonism and Calvinism and whatever." And I said, "Okay, well, can I bring a friend?" And they said, yeah. And at the time, Jacob Hansen was living in Gilbert. So tagged him along, and we had 6 hours of conversation with them over 3 episodes. And then we said, let's do a debate. And they said, we'll host it. And so we did it. And then Jacob had already been doing some online things. I had a podcast that wasn't, I mean, didn't have any viewers. It was just family and friends, basically. It was on Spotify. I didn't have a YouTube channel or anything like that. But then after that, Jacob rebranded to Thoughtful Faith, and he really took off. And now I think he has almost, what, 40,000 subscribers almost, or something close to that.
Yeah. Jacob's huge.
Yeah, he
What?
was, yeah, go ahead.
What are the odds of you sliding us that phone number, bro?
Yeah, Jacob Hansen.
Yeah, we're huge fans of Jacob.
I'll just call him right now, and you can just talk to him. No, he if you want to do an interview with him, I mean, it would be up to him. I know that he likes to interview up, right? He wants to interview channels that are bigger than his.
Yeah, he's trying to get on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He is. He is. So that, and he did Pints with Aquinas and Trent Horn, and so that's really fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we'll see. You can always email him, thoughtfulfaith2020.
Yeah, we should shoot him an email.
We should.
Yeah, but the problem is like Kat and I. So Kat and I, it was really funny because no. Backtrack actually for our viewers. Hayden was teaching with me, and we had these weekly. Do you still teach at? I don't know.
Thanks for doxing me, but no, I don't.
Sorry. Anyways, so
maybe edit that out.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. We'll get that out there.
Yeah, no, I'm not teaching seminary anymore, but we can talk about that afterwards.
What?
Okay.
We'll
All
talk.
right. Hey, we're both in the same boat.
All
here.
right.
Talking about.
Yeah, we'll chat.
So, anyways, we would do these like weekly. What are they called?
In-service training.
Yeah, we do these weekly in-service trainings, which were the coolest things ever. With like
we had the best faculty too, with Aaron and Mark. It was amazing.
Yeah, we had these two guys that are just Aaron. If he ever sees this, he's gonna blush. But he speaks like 7 languages, and he's just So, anyways, I remember one time we had an in-service, and I brought up all my knowledge. I was like, "Well, the Freemasons," and I started going off a little bit on the Freemasons. And Aaron and Mark were both kind of like went quiet. They kind of giggled a little bit, and I was like, "What are we laughing at?" And Aaron goes, "You do know Hayden's a Freemason, right?" And I was like, "What? What in the world?" So I started talking to you, Hayden, about like Freemasonry. I was like, what's the whole thing? You sent me like the YouTube video that you have that you were interviewed where you kind of had a little slideshow, and we got to I got to look through that, and then all of a sudden I was getting into like Ward Radio and Thoughtful Faith, and then you just started popping up on my YouTube algorithm, and I was like, "What the crap?" So Hayden's very humble about it, but I was like, "What in the world?" And I remember I told Kat, "Bro, do you know Hayden?" And he's like, "Yeah, the guy in Thoughtful Faith." I was like, "I work with him."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
That's funny,
man. But anyways, Kat. So then I was like, he's also Freemason, which blew Kat's mind. Kat likes Freemason.
Oh, dude, I got back. So I served my mission in the Caribbean, and that's a weird place because they're on the little island. I actually served on Aruba, and on the little island of Aruba, there was 2 lodges.
Oh, wow, very cool.
So, and like tons of the members were Freemasons. And so I got back and I was like, dude, like, I'm kind of down for this idea. I don't really know what it is, but this is kind of a cool thing. And I know National Treasure, so that's sick. But
then everything. If you've seen that movie, you know everything there is to know about Freemasonry.
Well, that's what I feel like. Let's see.
So how long ago did you serve? When did you get home?
So I got back in 2022, the summer 2022. So I've been back for.
You're young.
Yeah.
Nice. Very
yeah,
cool.
he's my really little brother. Just kidding. We have a littler one that's on his mission in Texas right now.
Oh, cool. Very awesome.
Shout out to him. Anyways, so Kat and I have always been interested in Freemasonry. And I think what sparked that interest is growing up, our mom is extremely like very patriotic. And so we just knew from a very young age that like George Washington and the signers of the Declaration of Independence were all like part of this cool society. And then we grew up on National Treasures as well. So the tale grew more in our brain, which it was kind of sad to find out that, like, the all-seeing eye isn't like or
Yeah.
whatever. If you want, I don't know.
It
It's
doesn't
not. I was
originate.
oh, wait, it's not true. It's not all.
No, it's yeah, no, we can talk about that. The all-seeing eye, that's a common misconception that the Freemasons like created that or whatever. But the first depiction I think of that is from a Catholic artist or painter, Portormo or something like that. I can't remember it starts with a P, but he puts the all-seeing eye. It's a very, I mean, it's in like ancient Egypt, right? It's just a sign of God, right? That God sees all. So it's definitely not a Freemason only thing, and it's not even our main symbol. I mean, we use it, but it's not we I say we use it and we would be comfortable saying that we stole it, right? We stole everything that we use, right? Nothing that we have is original. We just take it and use it for our own purpose.
Okay, that's one of my first questions. You said in your last YouTube video that I watched, you said something about how most Freemasons acknowledge that they actually haven't been around since the Temple of Solomon.
I think that's the general consensus is that it's the Freemasonry that we know probably started in Europe, probably in Ireland, in the 15th century, so the 1400s, around there. I think the earliest minutes that we have or meeting notes that we have from a Freemason lodge is like 1451. I'll have to look at the date, but so it was around before that, obviously. So the lore that we use, right? Freemasonry, for those who don't know anything about it, it's a fraternity, right? It's like the original fraternity, which is like a brotherly club, basically. And we focus on service and leadership and character building, right? Basically, if you're a member of the church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you're watching this, the way that I like to describe it is it's essentially what the church is trying to do, but without the authority and priesthood claims, right? You guys have heard the one of the purposes of the church is to perfect the saints.
Right.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if Brigham Young came up with that and he stole it from the Freemasons, because that's kind of what we're about, is becoming perfected through the great architect, which is the G and the symbol
Right.
and compass. So yeah, we use symbols and we teach moral lessons on how to live a productive and successful and a life that contributes to society, essentially is what it is. We're not trying to take over the world, and even if we were, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you guys about it.
I was gonna say, which is super lame. I hope you're trying to take over the world. That's way cooler. That's way
If
awesome.
it's funny, most Latter-day Saints who learn that I'm a Freemason, they don't like it. They're very apprehensive to learn about it, or they're kind of judgmental, like, oh, you shouldn't be a part of that. That's a secret combination. And it's like, okay, first of all, my allegiance is to the church, it's to Jesus Christ, it's to his
Right.
apostles. If President Nelson came out tomorrow and said, Brother Carroll, you can't do this anymore, I would resign from the Freemasons immediately.
Right.
But the church in the past couple of years has actually come out and they've said that members of the church are able to be Freemasons and vice versa.
Really? Like
Yeah,
they made like a statement, like a
it was through a video. They released they released one of those now you know videos. I don't know if you've
uh-huh.
seen those. And it's all about Freemasonry and Joseph. It has some great information in it. And as part of that, they say members of the church are not prohibited.
Huh. I
And
did
that's
not
the
know that.
official
Yeah.
YouTube and website.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if you get a recruiter's budget or fee or something like that, but Kat and I mean, we're close, bro.
Yeah, we're
Not like
right
close,
there.
close, but it's too interesting. It's too interesting.
Yeah.
Kat, you went through one of the lodges, and I remember you had some questions that you were like, I don't know if you remember, but you told me you had questions about the lodge, and you were like asking questions, and the guy was a little dodgy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, not to put. I don't want to put Hayden on the spot, but I don't know if you want to retry to ask some of those questions, or I
I
don't.
mean, sure. Yeah. The thing was is it's actually a really cool guy. He was looking for the truth and found the Freemasons, became a Freemason, and then became a Master Mason, and then was like, this is still not it. And then he found the church and they got baptized, and that was it. But
Very cool.
he
That's
took
awesome.
yeah, he took all the missionaries and the mission president through one of the lodges in Aruba. And because all of the missionaries had been through the temple, we were some of them were trying to be like, if there was any resemblance to the temple in the lodge, they were like, well, what's that?
Yeah.
tell us about that or whatever. But
That guy, was he endowed? Was he
yeah.
endowed? Oh, he
Oh
was.
no, 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 no. No, the guy
Okay,
in
yeah.
Aruba wasn't.
So he wouldn't know what they were even talking about.
No. And that was the interesting thing because we could see that he was like dodging specific questions
Hmm.
and we knew like we could like or we thought we were piecing things together, but
Hmm.
it was interesting. I mean, the whole before he took us through, he was like, "Look, I'm going to answer all of your questions. I'm just going to tell you right now, I might be lying and I might be telling the truth."
Yeah,
But
you said that there was one you were walking through and then you go, "Hey, what's is there anything behind
yeah,
that?"
so and I really don't want to put you on the spot, but um and this might be nothing, but we were everyone was asking questions, he was answering them, and then the room had curtains on the sides of the room and the back. And one of the guys goes, "Hey, what's behind those curtains?" And he goes, "Nothing." And we all looked at each other and we were like, "Okay, all
You know
right."
what's funny about that answer? He probably was being truthful because I mean every lodge is different.
Uh-huh.
Lodge doesn't have curtains. There's like a back room, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, can
That's
you
hmm
do you have like is there like Freemason like lore Bible? Like how do the lodges know when they're supposed like because you said the rituals are different or the ordinances or the oaths or whatever, they're kind of different in every lodge. But how do they have a base, like a foundation?
every Grand Lodge. So it's kind of like a stake house, like a stake building, like for the church, and then there's ward buildings, right? You have a stake center, is what it's called, right? And that's the Grand Lodge in the United States. The way it works is every state has a Grand Lodge, and the lodges or temples or whatever you want to call them around the state are all subject to the Grand Lodge. And so, as far as I understand, because I'm only initiated in Utah, right? I'm not affiliated with the Arizona
Right.
with an Arizona lodge yet, which I may be here in the near future. Um, I've been told from brothers who have been in different lodges in different states that the rituals are similar, very similar, with maybe a couple different wording. I actually don't know. I could probably find out easily. I mean, if it started in Europe, right, and there were rituals over there, I would assume that the lodges, because I think it was Massachusetts was the first lodge in the United States, and if that was the first lodge, they probably took a lot of what they knew from England, right? If they came over
Right.
on the Mayflower or whatever,
Right.
which Freemasonry was probably around before the Mayflower, right, before the Pilgrims, they probably took it from over there, and then it just spread, and then they got different jurisdictions, and people started to do their own thing, and it's not like I mean technically we could start a Freemason lodge, right? And we can make our own rituals. Like it's
Shoot.
just a private organization,
I
right?
mean, if,
Now.
if this is your pitch, dude, we
Hey,
might be behind
yeah,
him.
Hayden. Yeah. Don't have to tell me twice. Where do we start?
This is the first presidency, Roy, and God, there's
Yes,
This is
bro.
our first meeting. Wait, someone take notes. Someone they're gonna find this in like 400 years. Be like, this is the first known meeting of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Fraternal Brotherhood, the
right.
branch off the Freemasons. I'm wondering, and I kind of know the question more for our viewers because I think some of our viewers are not even going to know that Freemasonry is intertwined with, um, or people think it's intertwined with the temple endowment, and that is like actually a pretty big pushback that people have against the temple,
Mhm.
and against Joseph Smith, and against like the founding, against founding fathers, but also the founding people of our church.
Mm.
Why can you give a more rundown of like why people might think that and where they miss or where they hit with that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is the reason why I became interested in Freemasonry. Right? When I was in college, I joined a fraternity, the same fraternity that President Nelson and President Ballard, who passed away, they were members of Sigma Chi at the
Okay, wait, pause. Okay, I never asked you about this. So President Nelson, our prophet, was
hmm
part of Sigma Chi at Utah State,
University, no, U
Utah
of
University.
yeah, Utah, University of Utah.
How do you how do you what's the initiation like, bro? What
You know the fraternal, I mean the Sigma Chi fraternity initiation, dare I say it's kind of cooler than the Freemason initiation. I mean they're both really cool and they both have some real like stoic and like Renaissance feel to it. But yeah, I mean the college kids just go crazy with it, right? The young adults in college who do it, they just have so much fun with it. And I oh shoot, somebody told me this. One of the brothers told me this in college that a lot of the fraternities, including Sigma Chi, have basis in Freemasonry. That the founders of Sigma Chi were either Masons themselves or knew people or knew about it and wanted to do their own thing for college level or college age.
Yeah, you said something about like the seven brothers that started Sigma Chi or something like that had
Yeah, that's
Freemason.
right. The founders. That's exactly right. I don't know if they all were Freemasons or if any of them were. And I have to check up on that again. But there are being in both, there are some similarities for sure. And Sigma Chi started way later. So
Right, right. There's a okay. So you were
yes.
part of Sigma Chi.
Yeah, part of Sigma Chi, and this was before I was married, and so I had a lot of free time. This was 2016. I start because I got home from a mission 2015, right? And so I'm at Southern Utah University. 2016, this is like when the CES letter got real big, right? It's kind of like in the air of the last 2 or 3 years. And I was introduced to that through a friend of a friend. And anyway, that's a whole nother story. But as part of that, I'm like, oh, Freemasonry, like Joseph Smith was a Freemason. Like, I want to know what this is all about. So I called the mission companion. Do you know Timber Harward? He's on Thoughtful Faith and Ward Radio.
Bro, I didn't realize this till Timber is like one of my heroes. That guy is awesome.
Yeah, he was my
And
mission.
that's what yeah. Did you know about the struggles he was having while you were
Oh,
companions with
oh,
him?
absolutely. Yeah, he told me within like 5 minutes. Yeah, yeah. He
No
casually
way.
mentioned like, "Hey, we're gonna go see this gay couple out of our area, and president gave us approval because I deal with that as well. So we're gonna go do that." Like on the like from the transfer building to back to where we were, he was talking to me about it.
Right off
Like
the rip. Right off the rip.
Honestly, bro,
like, hey,
that
Brother
guy,
Elder
that
Carroll,
guy,
nice to meet you. I'm gay.
and if he was here, he would confirm that. Elder Harward, bro, that guy has a freaking special seat in the celestial kingdom in exaltation. I'll tell you that. He's I have no doubt that his exaltation is sure. He's probably received his call-in election made sure for all I know.
Dude, the way that guy talks about his wife is like humbling for most heterosexual couples,
And
I
do you
would
know
say.
his story?
I just listened
Okay.
to the podcast. I think he was on with Ward Radio,
Okay.
and Carden was like, "Oh, geez, I'm a bad husband." Like, Carden was like, "Oh, dang."
Elder Harward, I call him Elder Harward, Timber Harward. He's someone who you might have on your show just to hear his story. And he
Yeah,
runs Beacon, which is like a support group for Latter-day Saint men who deal with same-sex attraction.
yeah,
I'm sure he would love to come onto your show so he could have that as a resource for his people as well. Anyway,
yeah.
so I called him, and the reason I did that is because while we were on the mission, he knew a little bit about it. He wasn't a Freemason when we were companions, but I remember him mentioning it because we were meeting with Elder Harvard. If you're watching this, we were meeting with Kent and Asenet Warner, and they had just recently left the church, and the CS letter basically got them.
Ooh.
And they were talking about Freemasonry, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And Elder Harvard's like, oh yeah, I know a little bit about that, talking about it. So in college, a year after I got home, I called him. I'm like, hey, Elder Harvard, are you a Freemason yet? Like, tell me about it. He's like, no, but and I said, how do you like? Can I join them? Like, what is this? And I still didn't know anything about it. And he's like, just call your local lodge. And there was a lodge within like a 1 minute drive of my dorm, of my apartment in college. So I called them up and I talked to their secretary Terry, and who just passed away recently. And he said, yeah, come on down on a Tuesday or Thursday night, and we'll tell you all about it. And I basically like rushed them or like petitioned them over the next 6 months.
Right.
And then I officially got approved, and I started going through the rituals the beginning of 2017, I think. I actually, oh shoot, I have my book in my office where it's the Bible that you take an oath on, and it
Uh-huh.
has all my dates. I forget. I think it's 2017. And then through that year I progressed through the 3 degrees, and then I graduated that next May. So I wasn't in Cedar City for very long after I received the degrees.
Hey, what's up with that 3 degree thing? What that's interesting. That's a weird parallel there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and I think it's on purpose. I think Joseph. Okay, so talking about the temple, right?
Yeah.
I think Joseph first off, for people who are making these claims, they either don't want you to know if they're enemies of the church, or they just don't know that Joseph had been receiving revelations and had been providing scripture about the temple and the endowment like 15 years before he joined the
Yeah.
Free. So it wasn't like he joined and then he's like, oh, this is good. Let's, write this down. Let's do this. The Lord had been saying, hey, I have something for you. I have an endowment of power for you in my house, and you got to be ready for it.
Yeah,
And I,
because that's the crazy part, because you read like the nine first vision accounts or whatever, and you like piece them all together, and you're like, bro, since day one, this guy was like
temple.
seeing this stuff.
Yep.
And another thing that Don Bradley talks about a little bit is when he translated Ether, when he wrote, translated, however you want to believe, Ether, it was talking about going up to a mountain, receiving information, then going down, applying that information, then coming back up the mountain, receiving information, going down, and then going back up, and then a hand reaches through the veil, gives him further light and knowledge, and then once he accepts that light and knowledge, he's admitted into the Lord's presence. Like
Yep.
he didn't just make it up. Like he didn't just like, oh, I'm gonna do this.
No, anyone who says that that he copied the Freemason rituals or whatever, they just don't know what they're talking about. And I can say that as somebody who's been through the Blue Lodge Masonry, which is the 3 degrees, and been through the Temple Endowment. I will say this for your listeners, you guys may know this. There are similarities in some of the symbols in the rituals, but what is most similar about the endowment and the 3 degrees is the presentation method, right? It's a drama, it's a play, right? And you're in the play. In the temple, you're Adam or Eve, right? And right, you're symbolically being represented by the witness couple that they don't go to they don't do a witness couple anymore, but that's basically what it is, right? Adam and Eve are kicked out of the garden. You guys, well, there's a lot of symbolism there, but basically we're doing in the temple what Adam and Eve did, right? Whether they did it literally or symbolically or whatever it may be, the representation of Adam and Eve is us, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
Freemasonry,
I think people
yeah,
miss that as well. They miss
yeah,
that we are doing a play. We're
yes,
acting out a play. What was there's
yep,
like a Greek word for, I don't remember, but we're acting out a play that's supposed to teach us something.
yep. Yep, and it's
Which
very symbolic, and it's taught in the same way the parables were, right? That's why I mean, they have the lecture at the Veil, and they give you a couple things about the symbols, right, and things like that. But the large majority of it is like Christ gave a parable, and then he didn't say, "All right, let me tell you what I meant." Some
right.
people got it, and some people didn't.
Right.
And I would argue that most Latter-day Saints who go through the temple, it's like they heard the parable of the endowment and they had no clue what they were hearing, right? And that's
Oh,
on purpose because it saves them from condemnation, right?
right. Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that the brethren have made the changes they have to the temple. Genuinely, I am happy. But it
mhm.
was fun before when you had to be like, oh, wait a second. Wait. What does this mean? Like, but this applies to the atonement. This applies to Christ. This applies to Abinadi and Alma the Younger. Like, this goes deeper than it actually looks. I miss that aspect of it, but it's still there. I mean, it's still there in the
And
temple.
maybe they felt that it was time and it was needed for the Saints to just give it to them more straightforward, right? That
Yeah.
everything we do is about the Savior. If you didn't get that, we're just going to tell you now because there's not any
Right.
time for you to figure it out on your own if you haven't already.
Right. And even the stories of Abinadi or Alma, it's like, well, those stories have to do with the Savior. So it's
Mhm.
not. So yeah.
All.
Yeah.
And to say that Joseph Smith just wrote the Book of Mormon or made it up, it's people are insane, bro. Like,
Yeah, the reason I watch Ward Radio is because Cardin yells at the screen as much as I wish I could, and I
bro,
love it. But it bugs me. It bugs me like that
you know,
people think he made it up. That is
speaking of Cardin, when I went with Jacob Hansen and we did our Jubilee episode here in LA, we did an episode with Ward Radio.
uh-huh.
Cardin, bro, that guy is crazier off screen than he is on screen, bro.
Bro, no way, dude. I don't believe you, bro.
No, he's a hoot. He took me and Jacob to Denny's at like midnight. Like we filmed some things and then we went to Denny's. And he's just the funniest guy, just the nicest guy in the world. Just like a big old teddy bear. He's super tall. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
heard he's like 6'9". What?
I don't know 6'9", but like 6'6" at least.
No, the lore. For the lore, he's
Yeah, for
six
the
Yeah.
nine.
Lord. 6'9",
He's
maybe
6'9",
7
and he's
feet.
like, what'd you say, Kat?
Maybe 7 feet.
Yeah, he might be 7 feet tall, like 300 pounds. He's just this massive.
You can't tell when he's sitting down in his chair, but he's a big guy and just the nicest guy in the world. And anyway,
Yeah.
so okay, so what are we doing? Temple. Um, similarities.
Well,
Did you want to talk anything more about that?
similarities. I also want to talk. So, just based off of things that I've heard from you telling me personally, other videos that I've watched and stuff like that, I agree with your idea. And it's also just because I know you and I trust you, but I agree with your idea that there is a chance Freemasonry might have stolen symbols from Catholicism.
Oh yeah. Oh, should we show some of those pictures to
That's
Yes.
people?
why I think you
Yes,
should,
bro.
because Ket, I don't know if Ket's seen all of them, but I think we should, because the idea that the Freemasonry maybe stole some symbols from Catholicism, which was established or were established by Simon Peter from Jesus Christ, just
Yeah.
gives it so much more, like that makes Freemasonry like an endowment time capsule, which is really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see this picture of all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
So the question I love to ask Latter-day Saints who have been through the temple is, have you ever worn anything like what they're wearing? Like, why is the Catholic Church, why do they have clothing like this?
Yes,
Right? And
yes, and the hat.
yeah, his hat, that's a bishop, right? So let me this is fun, right? Most Latter-day Saints don't know that the temple clothing you wear is symbolic of ancient Jewish high priest robes. And
Yes.
you find that in Exodus, right? I mean, think about the initiatory. I just did initiatory yesterday, and they say uh, these. I'm paraphrasing. I should know it by heart, but they say that these ordinances were given anciently, but you were washed and anointed only symbolically as follows, right? And they say, or what is it? What's the Exodus verse? Thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons, or yeah,
Yeah, onto the tabernacle that they be
yeah,
washed and anointed.
yep. This is ancient, right? This is ancient. And you know what's really cool about this? A lot of people think like, oh, we don't live the Mosaic law, but and I'm not an Old Testament scholar, but my understanding is that these temple rituals are not just with the old law. This is the new law as well, right?
Yeah,
Because it was restored. Like we don't live the law of Moses, but we do live some ancient Old Testament rituals because they are part of the higher law. Anyway, there's some things there. Okay, so
can you wait? Can you read, talking about endowment? I mean, sorry,
yeah,
initiatory.
yeah,
Can you read that one? The old Catholic. You have it on the slide somewhere.
yeah.
Oh,
This
dude, yes. Okay, I remember this when I was tripping when you presented this, dude.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been endowed, just follow along with me here. It's the same, right? So I just zoomed in on the right. I sign your forehead. I kind of feel like blasphemous reading this. I sign your forehead in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit that you may be a Christian. By the way, this is an old book on Catholic liturgy or rituals. They don't do this anymore from what I understand.
Ah.
They
Right.
may, I guess, but this is the liturgy of baptism. I'll have to get the source for you here. This came from a friend of mine who used to work at the University of Utah, and he found this book in the University of Utah library and he scanned it.
Whoa.
And so he sent it to me. Anyway, his name's Alma Allred. You should get him on your show as well. He's a just
Down, down. Shoot me all of these phone
Yeah, holy
numbers.
cow.
there's so many people that are fun to talk to. Okay, let me keep going. I sign your eyes so that you may see the glory of God. I sign your ears that you may hear the voice of the Lord. I sign your nostrils that you may breathe the fragrance of Christ. I sign your lips so that you may speak the words of life. I sign your heart so that you may believe in the Holy Trinity apostasy. I sign your shoulders that you may bear the yoke of Christ's service. I sign your whole body in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit that you may live forever and ever. So if you've been
Oh,
through the temple, then you've heard that. And my question is, and here's the coolest part. I have yet to find a source that says Joseph Smith had any interactions with Catholics.
okay, that's what I was gonna say something like that, because you
Yeah.
could, I think the better argument would be that Joseph Smith mixed Freemasonry with Catholicism,
Yeah.
but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints didn't even have beef with Catholics until Bruce R. McConkie was like, Catholics are the whore of the earth, which is not true. We don't, but they didn't even really care much about Catholics when Joseph Smith was established, which is crazy that there's overlaps with the Catholic Church and
Yeah.
our sacred rituals. I also think that's
I mean,
awesome.
it makes sense, right? If Peter, they claim Peter was the head of the church, and he may have been, right? He was, I guess, right?
Right.
If he was the head of the church, and he was the president of the church per se, right? Then he knew these rituals, right? And so they definitely got him from somewhere, You know what I mean? They got it from the early church.
Well, another thing too is it a coincidence that Peter's name, like, isn't it, doesn't mean like rock or like sturdy
Petra,
place?
Petra, yeah, rock in Greek, I think.
And
Oh,
it's so like the rough stone rolling,
I
like,
never even put that together. What the heck?
You know, I mean, sure, I like it. Like, I don't see any issues with that. Yeah, the rough stone. By the way, let me show you this before I forget. My mom got me this for my birthday like a couple of years ago. So before I show you, the lore of Freemasonry, the idea is that we are all rough stones. You guys know Richard Bushman's
Yeah, rough
biography.
stone rolling.
Yeah, rough stone rolling. That's a Masonic phrase that Joseph said, right? That's in I
Right.
forget if it was a letter to somebody or where it comes from, but Richard Bushman, he took that quote from Joseph. Joseph got that idea from the Freemasons. The idea in Freemasonry is that we're all rough stones and that we are trying to basically cut off the dross or cut off the rough edges so that we can be made perfectly. And this goes back to Solomon's temple, right? The idea is that all of the stones in Solomon's temple were cut so perfectly that it was as if the hand of God himself had cut the stones, and they wouldn't put a stone in Solomon's temple unless it was perfect. And so they had to cut it off, right? The masons, right? The stone masons had to cut the things. And so they basically say, just like the stones in the temple, we are trying to be cut perfectly by God, the great architect, to be placed for a greater purpose in his temple. And so you get this idea.
The temple of Christ, right? Like the
Yeah,
body of Christ.
totally. That's what I said. The Freemasonry is basically the church without the power and authority. That's basically what it is.
Spoken by a true Freemason, right
That's right.
there.
So in our and you'll see this if you ever go visit a Freemason lodge, they often will do public tours and things like that. Like you went with that guy on your mission. There in the east which is where the worshipful master or the president of the lodge sits. There are two stones and they're called ashlars, right? And one is a rough ashlar and one is a perfect ashlar. And so here's this paperweight. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. I hope you can see it. Can you see that?
oh,
That
gas.
Oh, that's sweet.
Sick.
awesome. So
That's
this is
sweet.
you can see the rough side of it. And the idea is that that's how we start, but Freemasonry helps us to cut the perfect angles. That's why you need the Masonic tools, which I'm getting chills thinking about it. Let me show you this. Let me show you this little slide here. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that the viewers can see it too. But yes, I can see it.
Yeah. So, as we talk about the rough stone, right, and the perfect stone becoming perfect for his temple, and you guys know this if you watch my video, but for your viewers, right, Freemasonry essentially says, we use these tools to build buildings and, to build the temple, but we're going to use them for another purpose, a higher purpose. And we're going to take these tools and we are going to teach moral lessons on how you can live your life. So each one of these tools has kind of a lecture to it. And as you increase in the degrees, you learn more about the tools. And they say you can use this tool this way in your life and this tool this way in your life. And it's essentially because you're the stone and you're trying to allow the great architect to cut off using all these tools, the moral principles.
That's so sick, dude.
Isn't that awesome? I mean,
That's awesome.
it's just, I mean, if you want to be a better person, go study Freemasonry. That's what they're all about. Yeah,
Dude, freaking cat. All right. Move back down. Get down to Arizona. We're gonna join the lodge in freaking Mesa or Scottsdale,
Bro.
wherever it is. Okay, I had a
you want to see some more of these symbols?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, let's do this before we forget. So here's a cool one. Hugh Nibley wrote a paper you can find on Google, The Early Christian Prayer Circle. Tell me about that. How did
Dang, baby.
so this little hieroglyph or painting or whatever it is here on the left side, this was found on the wall in the catacombs, like the dungeons or like the where they bury people under Rome. And there's a woman and she has a veil over her face and she's in a robe and she's holding her hands.
Oh, that is a veil. I did not
Yes.
even see that that's a veil.
Not hair. It's a veil.
Bro.
Like,
Okay, wait. I actually have a verse I want to read about this.
yeah, go ahead.
So in Acts 1, Jesus comes down for 40 days and teaches the apostles the things of heaven. Like right off the bat, he's there with them for 40 days. We have no as far as I know, we have no idea what he was talking about. We don't have any record of those teachings,
Hmm.
other than the fact that they were the teachings of heaven.
Yeah.
And then he ascends back up into heaven, and then he says that that's the same way that he's going to come down, I believe. And then afterwards, so in Acts 1:12, it says, "Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day journey." So they were on a mountain when Jesus was teaching them the things of heaven, and then they traveled back down somewhere. This part's interesting. Verse 13 says, "And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room." Random. Where abode both Peter, James, John, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, sorry, and Simon Zealotus, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord, so in together, in prayer and supplication, with women and Mary and the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren.
The prayer circle.
Dang,
Yes, that's totally what this is. In the upper room, in the upper room, which is crazy.
And you know what's crazy though? Your Christian Protestant evangelical friends who are listening to this, they have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Saints,
Right.
Latter-day Saints who have the greater light knowledge are, oh yeah, it makes total sense. Like absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Is
Bro.
there anything that's resembling, like, is kind of similar to a type of maybe early Christian prayer circle in Freemasonry? Or, I mean,
There's a part in the ritual where we get in a circle, but it's not like this. It's not like what we do. It's for a different purpose. It's part of the play.
uh,
Yeah, it's not a prayer, nothing like that.
Do you got more pictures of like the Catholic paintings, hands through like?
Yeah, let's do
oh,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this one's crazy.
Yeah, I
This
love
one's insane.
this is in a cathedral in France.
Oh,
Go ahead and
our boy.
go ahead and look at this. And if you're in doubt, tell me what looks familiar. I'm going to zoom in to the very middle. You see the Savior sitting down?
Right.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Right.
What's
What does
up?
that say in Latin? What?
Oh, you know what? I knew at one point. I forget. It's been years since I found this photo or was given it. This is actually, I think, came from a book from oh, he's a Latter-day Saint. He does a lot of books on the temple. It's not the guy you mentioned. His name is Alonzo. Oh, you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
I mean-
I'm kind of new. I'm still new with all this stuff. I know of Don Bradley, but I don't.
Let me tell your viewers because if they're interested in this, I can tell you right now. Oh, here he is, Alonzo Gaskill.
Alonzo Gaskill.
Yeah, he does a lot of temple stuff, and I think this picture comes from one of his books. They sell a Deseret book, I'm sure. You can find it online.
Can you go back to the big picture?
Oh yeah,
So assuming that that's Jesus Christ, I
Yep.
see 3 levels here, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. And
Yep.
on the last level, it looks like that line that's separating it is broken by Christ.
yep.
And those angels are reaching down to him, pulling the cross up through, right?
You know, yeah. I don't know what the Catholics meant by it, but there's definitely some meaning for us, and that's the cool part. We can just look at this and we can say, well, maybe God made this so Latter-day Saints can learn. Like
Yeah.
God uses symbols all over the place to teach people. Let me show you.
Hayden, real quick. Have you
Yeah.
been to DC?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so we went last summer and it was like
Oh, when you go
every-
into the Capitol?
yes, every building you walk in DC is like, whoa, what's that? What's
Yeah.
that? What's that? It's like,
all symbolic.
yeah, anyway, there
What
was
is this? What are we looking at here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to tell you, if you ever go back to DC, you should go to the George Washington Freemasonry Memorial. There's like a huge building. Have you ever seen that?
What?
No.
I've never
Wait.
seen that.
Let me show you. You're gonna just like this is gonna be awesome.
I've never. I don't
Bro,
think
we've
I've
been
ever.
to DC a handful of times. We never knew about this.
Let me
Yeah.
show you this. George Washington Freemason National Monument. Look at this. Okay, this. Okay, this is gonna blow your mind. Get back to Zoom. George Washington. Here it is. Okay, can you see this map?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see where we are. Alexandria, Washington. Okay, so it's south of the White House. Here's the Capitol building. You've probably been through all those and the museums and things like that. But south of that in Alexandria, you got the George Washington Masonic Monument. But look at this. When I turn it onto satellite, look what you can see from space. Look at that. Isn't that awesome?
Oh!
Bro, what the-
That's so sick.
That cool. So anyway, if you ever go back, I went a couple summers ago, or nah, I guess it was closer to 5 years ago now. Time flies, but
Couple summers.
yeah, I couldn't go, and I really next time I go there, I'm definitely gonna walk in there. They
Can
do.
you show us? Can you show us
Yeah.
the clip you have of Peter's basilica
Oh yeah, here let
or
me.
the picture of it? Because I
Yeah.
feel like I also saw a keyhole
Oh, potentially.
when you were first. Is there any sort of thing with keys in Freemasonry? Or is, I mean, obviously I don't want to
Yeah,
push.
keys of knowledge. Are you talking about this?
One the next slide.
Oh, that's
Like that?
weird though.
Or like this? Which one?
No, it's the aerial view with there. It's the lower. It's right below that. So go that one. Oh
Okay, that one.
no, one more forward.
Oh, sorry, this one.
This. It looks like an upside down key
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
with a
definitely.
cross.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I never noticed that. The cross is like where the little like
Yeah,
handles on the bottom. I can see that.
yeah. I don't know.
Totally.
Anyway,
I mean, it makes sense. They're always. I mean, all the statues with Peter, he's holding keys.
yeah.
But you
Wait,
see
Anyways,
the cross there, and you see the square and the compass. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
my
Square, compass. Yeah, those are. It's so for me. It's hilarious that it's right in front of our faces all the time, and that people still try to claim that Joseph Smith made it up, which in the end, honestly, is kind of a bigoted. It's almost a bigoted thing to say, to think that Joseph Smith invented this crap, or that he copied it, or that the Freemasons invented this, like
Yep.
from the 1400s. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You
The,
know?
the origins are ancient, and nobody knows because we just have records of it, so we
Right.
don't know. Here's another really cool thing. This is again Hugh Nibley. It's Temple in the Cosmos from his like 15-part series or whatever it is. But look at these statues, right? You got the robe on the left. Look at the guy's arms in the middle.
Yeah, look, he even has a robe draped over his right shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, isn't that cool? I
Yeah.
mean, this is just, and if you look at here, look at the dates. He has 2900 BC, 600 BC. Okay, so
Oh, and then 200 BC.
there you go. So the idea that Joseph just made this up or that he was an expert and he's like, let's put this all together, it just makes no sense. Considering what he had been revealing 10 years prior, it's just a no-brainer. Let me show you one. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The next one I wanted to see that Cat. This one's the one that
Yes,
Cat
bro.
initially.
This one was. I was like,
This is my favorite one.
because you
This-
don't see it at first.
No, you don't. This picture was also taken by Alma Allred, who did the liturgy book, right, with the initiatory prayer. He took this photo with his camera or phone in Ravenna, Italy, which is about 4 hours north of Rome. And I mean, as a Latter-day Saint, as an endowed member, looking at it this far back, you can see that this is a veil, right? It looks like the
Yeah,
veil, right? When you
right.
go to the endowment, this is the veil. But what you don't see, I'm going to zoom into the left side for your viewers. I know you guys have seen this already, but look at
Oh.
right? What do you see, your viewers? What do you see coming out from behind the veil?
Yeah, are those hands? Are those hands and fingers?
Why are there hands coming out from behind the veil? Why is the Catholic Church making art that has hands coming out from behind the veil?
Dude, wait, who painted these though?
I don't
What are
know,
they-
bro. I
what
could
are
find
they-
out.
No.
that's what I'm saying. I want to know. I want to know the guy who slipped all of these into the Catholic art because
Yeah.
Catholics don't seem to know about it.
No,
Yeah,
and
it-
you
dude,
know
it
why
was
that
the-
is?
Why?
The great apostasy.
The great apostasy.
The great
bro.
apostasy, bro. Like, I'm not saying they're the great and abominable, but I'm saying they lost the authority. Like, that's our claim and that's why they have temple truths, is because they had the truth at once. And
Bro,
had
they
the-
were they were the guys, bro.
yeah, they were, and they threw it. But I guess it was prophesied.
No, I always Ken and I always talk like, hey, the Catholics are like close enough
Yeah.
that it's like, dang, I might need to go to mass.
Yeah.
Like they're they're close enough. But it's
Here's
like, that's
another
pretty
one.
cool.
Here's another one, and I don't, people might get mad at me because I don't know anything about this. I saw this on Reddit years ago, and it was on a non-Latter-day Saint thing. It was on some subreddit. It had nothing to do with church, and I'm like, whoa, like that's kind of cool. I don't know if that means anything
Well-
or, you know.
Okay, so we actually went to that's Tikal, right? Right, Ron?
Yeah. This is where I
So-
served my mission.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we went when I got back from my mission, we went and
on the brochure, I wish I could like I don't have the picture on my computer, but on the brochure or something at the beginning of the tour, they have a little it's like a headless statue,
Mhm.
and his hand and his hands are similar to this one, but they're resting on his knees.
And they're
Hmm.
And
straight out.
we were like, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. No one knows. Like, we're like, what is going on right now?
Bro, like, I mean, this is, look at the dates. Like, when I saw the dates on this, I'm like, 600 AD. Like, I mean, the Catholic Church, I guess, was around, but I guess this would have been actually after Moroni. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Catholic Church wasn't in touch with
yes,
the Mayans in 600
no,
AD, right?
that's what I'm saying. But here's the
Yeah,
thing: I don't know what this symbol might mean something to the Mayans that they had
right.
a purpose for. I'm not making any claims there, and I don't know enough about it.
But
Okay,
it's too close. It's too close for us to be like,
yep,
that's not even that's freaking cool. That's what that is.
yep, I freaking love it. Okay, is there anything else on the PowerPoint, or what other direction do you want to
Maybe
go?
I think it would just be cool to show the initiation, what it would have looked like for the
Oh,
founding fathers.
yep, yeah. Here, let me find it. This one.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Actually, I have a question after we talk about this.
No, well, go ahead and ask it,
Yeah,
Kat.
go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. So we were in Aruba. Man, I forget his name. He was a really cool guy. That sucks that I forget his name. He mentioned how a Freemason could like do an initiation for somebody just by like drawing things in the dirt for them, and
Sure.
they
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. You don't need actual. It's just symbols.
So you could just do it anywhere. He was saying.
Um, here's the thing. I have not been in like top leadership of a lodge, so I don't know all the policies and all of the stipulations, but I would not be surprised if that were the case. Like I would say probably.
Interesting. Just this stuff being on the ground because it's that all that stuff's not on the ground like it is in this picture anymore,
Hey,
right?
is there a? Am I seeing a whip? What's it?
Um,
What? Oh, never mind. Never mind.
oh, you talking about the top of it?
The very top there. There's like a what was that?
I can't, you think I can tell you that, bro?
No, I'm okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Shut up, dude.
Hey, well, just listen. I'm gonna ask all the questions I can ask. I'm just saying, if there is a whip in a holy place, that makes Jesus in the
No.
temple making a cord crazier.
No, no, I will say this. It's not Christian in nature.
Okay, okay.
I mean, maybe there's remnants of it, but Christ is not mentioned, nothing like that. It's God.
Yeah, I'm just okay. Listen, you don't have to say anything. I'm just gonna start saying some things for the audience. I can't see anything, but I believe I see some sort of cord, a tethered cord, whip looking thing. There's a sun, a moon. Which, if you've gone to the Salt Lake City temple, that's intense. That's kind of cool. I
And
see. I don't
Nauvoo.
even
And
and
Nauvoo.
Nauvoo, and I don't even know what am I looking at? Are those pillars? Okay, all right, never mind. No, I don't. I don't want to push Hayden too far here.
What I can show you is you see the not on the ground, but the candlesticks around it in the three corners. You see that? That's representation of greater light and knowledge. There's
Oh, the candlesticks that are the
Yep.
big ones.
The big ones, yep, that are taller
Uh,
than yeah. So there's some things there about different degrees, you know.
this cat over here, his shirt's ripped in a way that's
Revealing
right
his
here.
yeah, and then he's also got his
He is exposed. Yeah,
knee
that's
is
intentional.
exposed.
This is all intent. He's blindfolded, right? I guess I can tell you are blindfolded in the 3 degrees, and then when you make your oath for that degree, they remove the blindfold because you're receiving further light, further knowledge.
Crazy.
So that's really
Crazy.
fun. You have an
I
extra,
thought
yeah.
when you first showed me this picture, I was a little bit too scared to ask, but now I'm noticing it right now. But it looks like he's got blood on his face. But then
No,
everyone else has red. It's just the
yeah.
painting of their cheeks. But I was like, "Yo, do you guys beat him up?"
You know, there is a little bit of truth to that, but it's theatrical, and
Yeah, because
it's in
what's
the.
the story of the guy? How much of the story are you allowed to tell
I mean,
us?
I can tell you about it. It's Hiram Abiff, and he is a master mason. and which means that he is like a supervisor at Solomon's Temple. Each degree. Oh, this is a good time. I can show you my apron. I can show you my Masonic apron.
No
Oh,
way.
Show you
Okay, sweet.
that if it. Hopefully, it will.
Come on.
looks awesome.
Okay, there.
Oh, there.
Oh no, dude.
Can you see it right there?
Kind of, yeah.
It says here. I'll read it to you. It says lambskin apron for Brother Hayden Carroll.
Wow.
Lambskin.
Yep. And Freemasons who are not Latter-day Saints, they are buried in their apron. They put their apron on when they die. I tell my family that when I die or if I die to because I'm going to wear my temple clothes, right, for my in the casket. I tell them just put this whole tube in my coffin with me.
That's awesome.
That's
But when
sick.
I open it, I can show you here. And the reason I brought this up is because it has to do with Hiram Abiff, right? So
Mm.
here is the apron that I wore through my initiation. It has some writing on there. I can read it to you if you can't see it very well, but it says, "Oh wait, it actually has my dates on here. It has my."
Hey,
Oh,
we found
nice.
him. We found him.
So I was initiated as an entered apprentice. That's the first degree on March 21st, 2017. So that's coming up. I was passed as a fellow craft, and these words have Latter-day Saint connection. Initiated, initiatory, passed, passing through the veil. I was passed as a fellow craft, second degree in June of 2017, and then I was raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason on October 28th, 2017. And it has our secretary and our worshipful master's signatures, John Adams and Chris Young, great men, both of them.
John Adams. What a guy,
His
dude.
name is John Adams. Yeah, he's so cool. He's a cool guy. Anyway, so the reason I brought this up is because you can see they're all wearing their aprons, right?
Right.
This is my apron. I wore this and I keep it. I don't wear it, obviously, but the lore is that when you were a stonemason working on Solomon's Temple, the way that you wore your apron identified you as your job. So when you're in the lodge as a first degree mason, you have to wear your apron up like this. And so everybody in the lodge knows that you're not a master mason. They know that you're the grunt, right? You're doing the heavy lifting with the stones, right? When you're building the temple. And then there are two other ways you can fold it down, and there's like another way. I forget exactly what the fellow craft is. And then the master mason is all the way down. And so they basically identify you. And so Hiram Abiff was a master mason. And the story basically is that he was threatened. They wanted the secrets of a master mason. They wanted to know what are the secret um passwords so that we can get into your meetings and we can learn what you guys are learning about all this stuff. And he wouldn't give up the secrets of a master mason, so they kill him. And you
And
play.
when they killed him, did he shout anything at them for help or something like that? Did that happen?
Um,
Never mind. Anyways,
I know what Joseph said when he was shot.
yeah,
Said,
true.
"Oh Lord, my God."
Yeah.
Yep. And there's another part of that I won't say. But um, yeah, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Hiram Abiff. You are Hiram Abiff. In the endowment, you're Adam for men. In the Freemasons, you are Hiram Abiff.
Mm.
And it's really fun, guys. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it cool? Like, is it boring? Is it cool? How would you
it's
explain it?
your heart is racing because you're blindfolded the whole time. So you don't actually get to see the initiation process because you're blindfolded the whole time and you're walking around the room and they're leading you. It's a play and you're traveling and you're walking and you're being stopped by these other Masons and they're talking to you and be like, it's cool. It's very interactive, and the way that you die is a surprise, and it's the coolest thing in the world. And anyway, it's so fun. Yeah, I
That
mean,
sounds
it's a
good.
play. It's a play, and you're in it, and they're walking around. So they have the initiate there blindfolded next to him, the guy. You always have somebody walking you around the room, and for me, that was Charlie Young. I don't know I think he's still there, but it's the guy who signed my lambskin apron. It's his dad, and he was the worshipful master. Anyway, he's just a good friend. He actually gave me I don't have the tie here with me, but he gave me a tie that has Masonic. Anyway, it's just a just a good memory that he was my
Yeah.
escort. And anyway, it's just a good time. The brothers are all there. It's just fun. It's a good experience.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I know Cardin on Ward Radio has gone off about this, but it sounds like what some of the men um in our church miss. They really want it. They want an elders quorum that is a true fraternity, I guess you could say, where you are really tight with each other and helping each other, and not just someone that you hang out with or see on Sundays and talk about work, but a fraternity, which I think is
You know what
cool.
the fix is to that?
Become a Freemason? I don't. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
And I mean within the church, because there's a problem. I mean, I'm sure there are wards that have really close knit,
Right.
right? Most of them are not, right?
Yeah.
Here's in my estimation, in my experience, being in an elders quorum and being in the Freemasons, it's simply it's prioritizing time to spend time together. That's really what it is.
Oh,
And that's hard in the church because if you got a wife and kids and you got a job, and that's why I think elders quorum presidents, if anyone's watching this, like your elders quorum activities they can do miracles for the brethren in your ward, and you may not even realize that. Do more. I think we should do more activities, not less. Like the Freemasons, like my lodge in Cedar City, they meet twice a week. They meet every Tuesday and Thursday, and they're just hanging out, playing board games and talking and just visiting. And
Yeah, that's something I remember when you told me about. I was like, "What was it like?" You said for about 6 months you just kind of hung out with them every Tuesday and Thursday or something like that, and you played board games and just kind of played
ask
Stratego and things like that. And at first I was like, "That's a little like honestly, I was like, that's a little disheartening." Like my whole life I've heard about these Freemasons and these secret stuff. They're just playing board games, but then as I've since I've thought on it, pondered on it, I was like, that is awesome. Like just
it's a
dudes getting
brotherhood.
together. Yeah, brotherhood, like getting together and hanging out and doing things together,
Yep.
bonding and building relationships. And waiting for the next initiate to come in and be part of it and being part
Right.
of like helping them get into the process, which is so
And
cool.
they hold monthly stated meetings or they have a ritualistic opening. So you're still doing the rituals at least once a month, probably more, because for the initiates, you got to do like extra meetings, right? You got to have extra
Right.
meeting times because you don't do initiations on the stated meeting night. Typically, it's on a Saturday or another day. So, yeah, but I mean, they also it's not like they go like every time they go to the lodge, they're not doing a ritual, right? It's special.
Right.
It's not every single time. Otherwise, it would be redundant and it would be less special. So yeah, it's
interesting.
mostly hanging out, and it doesn't have to be board games. I mean, they could go to the shooting range, or they could go to the movies. I mean, they could just do whatever they want. Just hang out with your brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Uh,
got a question. I got a question.
Yeah.
Will a Mason ever come up to you
No.
and
Or try to recruit you.
no.
Identify
Will
themselves
and identify themselves.
Oh,
secretly.
to me as a
Like,
Freemason.
yeah, any Freemason to any Freemason, like,
I
yeah,
mean, here's the thing. Are you talking about like identify themselves through a handshake or something?
yeah.
Or like a certain, not that we want to know, but like certain words or phrases, handshakes, things like that.
Here's the thing. Because you can find basically everything online, that's not a safe way to identify ourselves anymore.
Oh, I see.
Uh,
Because you guys could come up to me and give me a certain handshake, and then if I think, oh, you're a Freemason, then I might say some things that I shouldn't say, right?
yeah, it's
True.
true. Yeah,
So,
I could come up to any. I could just start being like, "Are you a rough stone?" Or or whatever, and people would be like, "Oh, you're Freemason." Like you
there,
could hide it somehow,
yeah,
you know.
there is a question that you could ask me that I would be 99% sure that you're a Freemason, and I won't tell you what the question is,
I'm
obviously.
Interesting.
But if you ask me a particular, and if you're a Freemason, you know exactly what the question is, and maybe you can even find that online. But yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I think it's pretty unlikely.
Can I ask? This is where you could tiptoe into what people get frustrated about. But how loyal are you to that fraternity? Like, not I don't know how to answer that question. Like, are you loyal to it? Obviously, the church takes precedent. But how loyal do you feel, or connected, I guess you could say, do you feel to the fraternity?
Well, right now I'm not actively attending. I still pay my dues, and so I still have my membership with Cedar City, but I'm not actively attending meetings at all, right? Since
Right.
I'm down here in Arizona, which, like I said, that may change here in the near future. I don't really want to lose my membership in Cedar City, so I'd probably have to do like a dual membership, which is harder because each lodge has its dues you got to pay.
Mm.
Um, I mean, if anyone's wondering, I pay $140 a year to my Cedar City lodge, so it's not like a lot. But if it's a bigger lodge, like there's a Scottsdale lodge here that has like 200 active members, or maybe less, I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I went to visit them years ago, and there's a lot of people there for a dinner one night. And so I don't know what their dues are. Anyway, I feel, and here's the thing though, I still get weekly or more than once a week emails from my lodge in Cedar City. Like I'm in close contact with them. Like if I needed a place to stay, I'm sure I could just call our secretary or call our worshipful master and someone would put me in a room. Like it's kind of like you have that best friend from forever ago and you haven't seen each other for like 10 years and then you meet up and it's like, no time went past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I feel connected. It's like it doesn't matter how long it's been since I've attended, like I still feel that closeness with them. And
Which that by itself, like nowadays in the society we live in, is like almost that by itself is worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like just to have super close connections. You know what I'm saying? To be part of that. I think that's super cool.
yeah, it's really awesome. And I hate to say that the Freemasons have a better elders quorum than the church does, but they kind of do. You know what I mean? Just
we got to figure that out. I think that one's one of those like lift where you stand type of things where if you want to see a change in your elders quorum, you gotta be the change in your elders quorum, you know.
Yep, it's a basic principle, but people are just so busy and life is crazy, so it's just harder. And
Yeah, but
yeah, go ahead.
that's the thing though is life is crazy and it's busy and stuff, but your guys up there are meeting twice a week.
Yeah, it's priority. It's priorities, and maybe we don't advertise elders quorum as a fraternity brotherhood like we should.
So
Right.
that's another huge thing for me is how can we advertise? I didn't think this was going to go this way, but I agree with what you're saying. How can we advertise the elders quorum as a brotherhood? Like how can we do that better?
Got to
Yeah.
be the elders quorum presidency and the bishop, and you have to get buy-in. I mean, you have to get buy-in from the brothers, and you got to provide opportunities for them to bond.
Well, yeah, and Roy, I think you are okay. I don't know if you know this, Hayden, but he was the YSA Elders Quorum president for a little bit.
Mhm.
And well, even before that, when I moved up to Provo and we were living together, and he taught Sunday or it was Sunday school, right? Or no, Elders Quorum.
It was elders quorum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Elders Quorum, and he came up. Where'd you even get this? He came up with manly moments
Oh
that
yeah,
we would. You know about it?
I've seen other wards do that. Yeah,
Okay. And every time somebody shared a manly moment, um, we would yarg. Everyone would say yarg.
little things like that they do that goes so far.
Dude, the elders quorum I was in down here in Arizona, and I was elders quorum president. That was the one thing. Honestly, I was not a very good elders quorum president. When I look back, there's so many things I could have done better. But we did that, and our attendance and elders quorum
Mhm.
went up like 300%.
Yeah, it's
Just
insane.
because people wanted to show up and feel like a
They want to be
manly
a part of
brotherhood.
something. Yeah, they want to be belong.
Yeah. And
So
we want to belong. I hate the whole, we don't want to belong like, let's sit around and talk about our feelings. I want to belong like, this is Sparta. We have like an
right.
incredible, like, let's go fight the
Yeah,
Roman Empire. That's how
like
I want to belong.
I've got you, you've got me. I
Yep.
don't care what happens.
That's exactly what we want. And I think the church is aware of that. And the church, I mean, I don't know. I would never want to be, in as the brethren, right? I'm not envious of them at all because
Right.
they
Right.
Right.
this problem and a million other ones, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the solution, but I think kind of like you said, lift where you stand, where it's kind of up to us, right? If the general church leadership is not going to come out and say these things, I'm sure they're okay with us saying it. If it's going to bring people together and closer to the Savior, then why not?
Yeah. Yeah. What better way? You said it perfectly. Freemasonry is just kind of like an elders quorum without authority. We
Mhm.
have elders quorums with
With
authority.
authority.
That's the
Yeah.
crazy part.
like it could be a revolutionary thing, even not just for our church but for our communities, for everyone around us that knows us. Like an elders quorum can really have a super positive effect on the community that it's in. I think we missed that a little bit in the church.
Yep. Yep. And that's an ongoing problem. And all we can do is keep talking about it and keep implementing the idea
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah, keep giving. Yeah, because one of those. I had a guy the other in my. He was from our stake presidency. I forgot his name, but he was telling us like that we need to look for good things to study and research and read and stuff. And he goes, just the other day, I watched a member of the church and he was debating a Catholic whether or not the Book of Mormon was true and the evidences of it. And I was like, are you Jacob Hansen? Are you watching Thoughtful? He's like,
Pints of Aquinas, bro?
Yeah. And I was like, dang. Well, hey, it's getting in. Like these ideas are getting into the wigwam of the world of our religion. So I'm excited.
Yeah, dude. I mean, these podcasts and things like I can't tell you where like I'll go to a ward for a family member or something, and people walk up to me and they're like, "Have I seen you somewhere?" I'm like, probably on YouTube or something. Oh, yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a fun little thing that happens once you, and that's I think to your point, right? You're talking to people and I'm talking to people who like for Jacob Hansen and Ward Radio, people are watching and
Yeah.
listening, and people are eating it up, bro. They are
Yes.
craving this kind of like let's take it back. Like let's make a name for ourselves in the community.
Yeah,
And-
let's stop blending in so hard or trying to blend in so hard and let's start like just
yeah.
going at it.
And the cool part is the restored gospel is the easiest thing to argue for because it's true, right? It's against anything, against atheism, against Protestantism, against Catholicism. It's just it's the easiest thing to defend. And
Everything points towards it. Everything points towards it.
yep. And so it's fun to talk about because you always have the higher position. So it's easy. It's easy to have a conversation.
You did. I'd love. Okay, this is where for all of you, for any naysayer watching this, that's like Freemasonry is a part of a cult, or it is a cult, or it's bad and it's the devil or whatever. We have talked only basically about Jesus Christ and his restored gospel this whole entire conversation. And this conversation was intended to be like questioning about Freemasonry. I really think there's something that can be like had there. Like it's not don't be terrified of Hayden Carroll because he's a Mason.
Well, if you're terrified of me, you got to be terrified of Joseph Smith.
That's true.
You got to be terrified of Hiram and of Joseph Smith Sr. and of all. Can I show you one last little picture?
Of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Do you still have time? We don't want to take too much of your time.
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. Let's do this one. Can you see this? Can you see can you see Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay, so here are the Latter-day Saint Masons that all you viewers, if you're Latter-day Saints, revere as prophets, and they were all Freemasons. You have Joseph and Hiram. You have their father, Joseph Smith Sr., Heber C. Kimball, one of the greatest apostles ever, Oliver Cowdery, the main transcriber of the Book of Mormon. You have Martin Harris, one of the three witnesses, and then you have Brigham, and the next at least three prophets. You have John Taylor and Wilford Woodruff and Lorenzo Snow.
That's insane.
They're all Freemasons.
Are there any prophets that are Freemasons? Like, are any apostles Freemasons now, or is that disclosed information?
I don't think so. And if they were, they probably wouldn't make it public. I would guess. I know President Nelson and Elder Ballard, they're public about Sigma Chi. I was in a meeting at the University of Utah when I was in college, and President Ballard was speaking, and he said, when I was a Sigma Chi here at the university, yeah, they have some cool handshakes, and they have some other things that are, temple overlap that he was not shy about that at all.
That's another thing that's so interesting. Why do people, not that we can answer this question, but it is sad to me that people have brought the temple to such a holy standard that they're scared of it.
Yeah.
Like they get scared when anything is mentioned or anything, that they fear the temple in a way that makes it not holy and scares our freaking neighbors. Like our neighbors are like, why? What do you mean you're terrified? Are you going to get struck by, like, is somebody going to come steal all your money and kill you if you tell me or talk about this? Or
yeah, it also scares our kids. And it also scares the members. It's like I've got a brother-in-law who's getting ready to go through the temple, and I just remember being in that position, and there was like I don't know what to feel about it. I don't know what to feel because there's so much like, well, it's great, but we can't talk about it, or So I just think
Elder Bednar came out probably a couple of years ago, and he basically said, you can talk about anything except for the things you covenanted to not talk about, which is the name, sign, and tokens.
Yeah, that's only like what, 4 things that we can't
Yeah.
say. Everything else is free game.
Yep. That's why I'm okay talking about Adam and Eve and talking about the prayer circle. And you know that the brethren and church members used to do prayer circles outside of the temple. Did you guys know that?
No.
No, I
Here, here-
didn't.
here's a cool piece of information. You know the Meadow Mountain Massacre? Remember
Yeah.
Mountain
in
Meadow
Utah
Massacre. Yeah.
where those rogue bishop or whatever killed all those people? They killed them all, and then they had a prayer circle.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy? Out in southern Utah, not in the temple, just in. And then, like in the 1970s or maybe 60s, the church is like, we're only doing this in the temple now. So anyway, kind of a fun fact.
Oh,
that's
what a wrench in the spokes
Yeah,
right at the very end. Holy cow.
and yeah, not to make light of the Meadow Mountain Massacre, that was horrible. And the church has a monument there to revere those people or to honor them. But that's just what they did. And I don't know if they were asking for forgiveness. I don't know the purpose of the prayer circle, but they definitely did it.
yeah, that's crazy. Which means it was common to do it outside of the
Yeah.
temple.
Yep.
Well, and in scripture, if you ever read anybody having a prayer in a circle together in unison, it's usually in an open sacrament meeting or things like that. It's very interesting when it happens in like the New Testament and things like that.
Yep. And, I mean, when you said sacrament meeting, the first thought that came to mind is like a baby blessing. I mean, we don't repeat the words of the baby
True.
blessing circle, and any blessing with multiple men, that's a circle in a prayer.
Yeah, I mean, and when you say amen together at the very end, you're signifying together in unison that you agree with what's being said.
Totally.
I always tell people when people get freaked out about prayer circles, I'm like, we go to sporting events all the time
Mm-hmm.
where we all sit in circles and cheer defense in unison. Why when we're worshiping God do
Yep.
people cringe and freak out about it? It's like,
Yeah, it's culture, and it's just the hypocrisy of the culture. No, I was going to make another comment about being weird about the temple. That's a culture thing that I think we're getting over. I think the older members are struggling, but like when I teach my students, I basically tell them almost everything I can to prepare them, especially my
right.
seniors. Like you should know, and the church has posted the 5 covenants, right, of obedience,
Right.
sacrifice, right? They've posted it, but also I'm okay talking about what does the initiatory look like. You're
Yeah.
going to walk into a room. There's going to be some curtains. You're going to walk in. You're going to sit in a chair. They're going to tell you about the ancient rituals. They're going to put a drop of water on your head. And if you're a sister, a female is going to lay her hands on your head. She's going to give you a blessing. And then you're going to go to the next booth and you're going to get a drop of oil on your head. Same thing. And then they're going to explain the temple. Like we need to talk about these things in an appropriate, especially in a church education setting, whether it
Yes.
be temple prep or in seminary, right? Like parents who are watching this who are cringing, like, oh my gosh, that's so inappropriate. I don't want my kids to know about that. Like, where would you like your children to learn about this? Like on YouTube? Like, because that's where they're going to find
Yeah.
it.
That's another thing. That's another thing is these kids see the temple ceremony on YouTube.
Totally. Yeah, most of them have seen it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they see it on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. It's they see it. They all
Dude.
see it.
Oh, dude,
Even when- yeah.
I was working with somebody and he said he was a member, and he was trying to get on a mission and he was asking about the temple and he was like being kind of like, well, tell me this and tell me this and tell me this. And we were all like, dude, we can tell you. And he was like, tell me how long the handshake is. Oh. And then finally we like said everything we could say. And he was like, I already watched the video. I totally knew all that stuff. And it was like,
Yeah,
bro.
that's inappropriate. You know, it's funny. I had a family member, a spouse of a cousin of mine, text me a couple days ago, and they were like, "Hey, is it appropriate for me to watch Freemason rituals on YouTube?" And let me read you the conversation. I thought it was just while we're talking about it, I think it really just applies here. Let me see, actually, right here. Okay, so this is what they said. They said, Hayden, would watching a video of the rituals in the Masonic lodges be akin to watching a video of the endowment ceremony on YouTube? And I said, in disrespect, yes. It'd be like a person secretly watching a married couple have sex. And she said, so you're saying I shouldn't watch it? And I said, if respect of what others hold as private and sacred is part of your morality, then yes.
Yeah.
That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
It's inappropriate to watch something that somebody else holds as private. That's basic.
I always say, could you imagine if I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna start walking around with a yarmulke on my head.
Totally. Yep.
Or I'm gonna start laying out a rug and praying towards Mecca, like 5 times a day because I read about it in a book.
Mhm.
And I'm not even like,
But you know what's crazy? You can't do that in our Western world, but you can show your, ex-members can show their temple garments on YouTube, and
Woo! Yeah.
they
Let's
can
not get into that. Holy shit.
bigotry and hate towards Latter-day Saints is totally accepted.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
you're allowed to make fun of you can make fun of our sacred prayer clothing, you can make fun of our sacred rituals and our sacred ordinances, but no one else. Everyone else is off limits.
Totally. And that's so accepted. And people will watch this. I hope someone watches this who's not a member and says, "Oh yeah, like I should stop being a hypocrite if I've been doing that."
Yeah.
It's just inappropriate. Like I said, it's like watching a married couple have sex secretly. It's like that's not appropriate for you to be watching. Like it's like a peeping Tom. It's like everyone
Right.
knows that's wrong. Or
Yeah.
watching somebody change privately. You
Yeah.
know,
Or
anything.
digging into somebody's love notes and reading their love notes between them and their wife.
Yeah, like
It's
reading
why
a
would you-
journal.
Why would you do that?
And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." But it's like, "Oh, when I want to watch the Mormon temple sermon, I'm just going to watch it on YouTube. That's fine." It's like,
Yeah.
and maybe just people don't understand. Maybe people don't understand that's what it's like. It's akin
Well,
to
yeah, people don't take us seriously. People
No.
think that our church shouldn't be taken seriously, that people don't even, well, first off, they don't know our theology, but then they assume our theology is so surface level that it's a joke, and they don't even know our theology.
But it doesn't take a mastermind to be like, these people hold this sacred. That's all we need to say is it's sacred. And that it doesn't take a mastermind to be like, I probably should not.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. I would never. Could you imagine like how people would freak out if I went into like the Amazon and made myself look like the people out there so that I could participate in their
Oh,
rituals?
they would freak out.
Oh my
You
gosh.
you would be slaughtered.
Yeah, you would die.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would die in the Amazon, but socially, I would also die if they found out about it. Like people would lose their minds about it.
But people go record the temple and they think it's fine.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, we've been on here for a while. Figure we'll let you go. Thank you so much. It's been a blast. Ket and I are, well, we're fans of you, but then you're also a close friend of mine. I count you as a close friend of mine, so it's fun to talk to you about. Do you have any last things to say about Freemasonry and the temple?
No, I mean, take it from somebody who is a Mason and is a faithful Latter-day Saint. Freemasonry is nothing to be afraid about. It's people are mostly afraid of what they don't know, which is understandable. I don't blame anyone for that. If people want to reach out to me, they can email me. My email is mrhaydencarroll@gmail.com.
Cool.
And yeah, if you have questions or whatever, you can reach out.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ket. You have any last words? Anything?
No, dude. Thanks, dude. It lots of these questions. I mean, we've seen the slideshow. Like I said, I've seen it twice, all the way through, and two different episodes. But it's interesting, and it hits close to home for a lot of members, and some people don't want to understand it, and some people do. Me and Roy have been dying to get closer to why it is a big deal, because it is a big deal, why it's so close and how it's so close and how that works with the temple and Joseph Smith and your faith and how so thank you.
I will say this, the closer you get to understanding Freemasonry and why Joseph was a member or a brother and the church history behind it, in my experience, the stronger your testimony gets. Like people are like, "Oh, is you struggle with that?" And I'm like, "No, like my testimony and my belief and my understanding has like just gone through the roof." It's like I believe more now in the gospel than I did before I joined the Freemasons. And that's not to say you have to join. You don't have to join. It's
Right.
not a requirement, but it has helped me. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and in the end, if anything, Freemasonry was like a time capsule for Christ to
Yep.
get the endowment ceremony out to Joseph Smith. If that's what people want to believe, then that's what people want to believe, right?
Totally.
And if that's true, then Jesus Christ is the greatest to ever do it, because he is the GOAT.
He is the GOAT.
What a way to get it in there. Anyway, so that's the end of episode 5 for you. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. And thanks again, Hayden, for joining us.
Of course, thanks.